especially for her. Father, you ought to go out there and meet the family, then you'd understand. They're not ordinary people. Their father was a college professor and wrote things. They're cultured people." "Well, I want to meet them. Why don't we go out there and call today? I think they must be worth knowing." So late that afternoon the father and son rode out to Glenside, and when Shirley and George reached home they found the car standing in front of their place, and the Grahams comfortably seated in the great open doorway, enjoying the late afternoon breeze, and seemingly perfectly at home in their own barn. "I'm not going to swarm here every day, Miss Shirley," said the son, rising and coming out to meet her. "You see, father hadn't heard about the transformation of the old barn, and the minute I told him about it he had to come right out and see it." "Yes," said the father, smiling contentedly, "I had to come and see what you'd done out here. I've played in the hay up in that loft many a day in my time, and I love the old barn. It's great to see it all fixed up so cozy. But we're going home now and let you have your dinner. We just waited to say howdy to you before we left." They stayed a few minutes longer, however, and the senior Graham talked with Shirley while he held Doris on his knee and stroked her silky hair, and she nestled in his arms quite content. Then, although young Graham was quite loath to leave so soon, they went, for he could not in conscience expect an invitation to dinner 2 days in succession. They rode away into the sunset, going across country to their home without going back to town, and Doris, as she stood with the others watching them away, murmured softly, "Nice father man, nice Graham father man." The nice Graham father man was at that moment remarking to his son in very decided tones as he turned to get a last glimpse of the old barn: "That old barn door ought to come down right away, Sid, and a nice big old fashioned door with glass around the sides made to fill the space. That door is an eyesore in the place, and they need a piazza. People like those can't live with a great door like that to open and shut every day." "Yes, father, I've thought of that, but I don't just know how to manage it. You see, they're not objects of charity. I've been thinking about some way to fix up a heating arrangement without hurting their feelings, so they could stay there all winter. I know they hate to go back to the city, and they're only paying $10 a month. It's all they can afford. What could they get in the city for that?" "Great Scott! A girl like that living in a house she could get for $10, when some of these feather brained baby dolls we know can't get on with less than 3 or 4 houses that cost from $50,000 to $100,000 apiece. Say, son, that's a peach of a girl, do you know it? A peach of a girl. I've been talking with her, and she has a very superior mind." "I know she has, father," answered the son humbly. "I say, Sid, why don't you marry her? That would solve the whole problem. Then you could fix up the old barn into a regular house for her folks." "Well, father, that's just what I've made up my mind to do, if she'll have me," said the son with a gleam of triumph in his eyes. "Bully for you, Sid! Bully for you!" And the father gave his son's broad shoulder a resounding slap. "Why, Sid, I didn't think you had that much sense. Your mother gave me to understand that you were philandering around with that dolly-faced Harriet Hale, and I couldn't see what you saw in her. But if you mean it, son, I'm with you every time. That girl's a peach, and you couldn't get a finer if you searched the world over." "Yes, I'm afraid mother's got her heart set on Harriet Hale," said the son dubiously, "but I can't see it that way." "Humph! Your mother likes show," sighed the father comically, "but she's got a good heart, and she'll bowl over all right and make the best of it. You know neither your mother nor I were such high and mighties when we were young, and we married for love. But now, if you really mean business, I don't see why we can't do something right away. When does that girl have her vacation? Of course she gets one sometime. Why couldn't your mother just invite the whole family to occupy the shore cottage for a little while? Get up some excuse or other. Ask 'em to take care of it. You know it's lying idle all this summer, and 2 servants down there growing fat with nothing to do. We might ship Elizabeth down there and let them be company for her. They seem like a fine set of children. It would do Elizabeth good to know them." "Oh, she's crazy about them. She's been out a number of times with me. And don't you remember she had Carol out to stay with her?" "Was that the black-eyed, sensible girl? Well, I declare, I didn't recognize her. She was all dolled up out at our house. I suppose Elizabeth loaned 'em to her, eh? Well, I'm glad. She's got sense, too. That's the kind of people I like my children to know. Now, if that vacation could only be arranged to come when your mother and I take that Western trip, why, it would be just the thing for Elizabeth. Work right all around. Now the thing for you to do is to find out about that vacation and begin to work things. Then you could have everything all planned, and rush the work so it would be done by the time they came back." So the two conspirators plotted, while, all unconscious of their interest, Shirley was trying to get herself in hand and not think how Graham's eyes had looked when he said good night to her. CHAPTER XIX